Dear brother, let's talk about controlling access to our lives because everyone doesn't deserve access, man. The first thing, man, we got to understand is what our capacity is. It's very important to understand what your capacity is. What's that mean? What you can handle, what you can't, whether that's a particular day or just for life. Some battles we fight, man, trying to figure out how to win the battle and really shouldn't be in it. It's not in your capacity. You got to know yourself enough to know what you can handle and what you can't. You got to know your emotional capacity. You got to know your mental capacity. You got to know your spiritual capacity. What's capacity? Limits. What's your limits? You got to know your limits. Protect your bandwidth, bro. You can't handle everything. I don't care how strong you are. You can't handle everything. When you realize something's draining you, when you realize something is tearing you apart, when you realize, hey, man, I can't win in this way, you have nothing to prove, man. The only thing you can prove when you keep on holding on to stuff is that you'll wind up falling, failing, embarrassing yourself. Know your limits, man. That's how you control access to your life. Another thing you got to do is set your boundaries. Set boundaries in your life, right? Define what you will and you will not tolerate. That's what boundaries are. So you got to understand this. Boundaries aren't walls in your life. It's not to keep people away. It's guidelines to protect your well-being, to protect who you are, to protect what you're trying to do in life. Don't let people just come in and mess up all your plans, man. I know some of y'all know what I'm talking about. You've had to rebuild over and over again. It's time to stop that, man. It's time to stop beginning and then letting somebody else come in and tear up your focus and tear up what you're building. And you have to start all over again. Number one, you're getting too old for that, man. How much more time you got to keep on rebuilding? Focus on what you're doing. Create boundaries in your life to protect your peace, to protect what's important to you. It's very important, man. Protect your space because that's the only way you can do this thing. Evaluate the relationships around you on a regular basis. Evaluate who's tripping, who's lying, who's always causing you something, who's the person always causing you grief, who's the person who's bringing you drama all the time, who's the person that always needs something from you but not giving you nothing. Evaluate the relationships. Some people we let just sit in our life because they are a cousin or because that's dad or that's family member or we've been friends for a long time. No, man. Evaluate what their access is and what their access is doing to you. It don't matter who it is, man. Because understand this, a lot of people we keep around our lives, you being bound is benefiting them. And you got to know that. You got to know that there's some people that love to keep you bound because your bondage is benefiting them. Not everyone deserves lifelong access, man. I don't care what their space in your life or the length of time you know them. Not everybody deserves lifelong access, right? Whether it's connections in your life, you got to know whether it's causing you value or whether it's causing you harm. And you got to adjust according to that. Start protecting your energy, right? We treat our money, we go in our pocket and say, I got this much, I got to budget this money. Guess what, bro? You got to budget your energy. You got to budget your energy just like you budget your money. We don't value our energy like we value our money. Well, guess what? Maybe some of y'all hearing this for the first time. But take this wisdom, man. Tuck it in your front pocket, not in your back pocket. Tuck it right here so you never forget. Hit that like button. Hit that subscribe button, too. It grows our channel. Y'all believe in this channel? Let's push it to some other men, man, so they can grow, too. This is where grown men grow, the Dear Brother Podcast. Start being intentional about where you spend your time. Start being intentional about where your attention goes. Guard your peace, right? You guard your peace by limiting the interactions with people that always bring chaos or negativity. The people that throw you off or the people that don't believe in you. Some of y'all are dreamers, man. You always got something up here you want to do. And you know there's certain people you share it with and they give you every reason why it's not going to work. Every reason. I'm not saying put yourself around people who just going to be okay, man. Y'all, that's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is don't be around people who are constantly have something negative to say that kill your dream. You don't need to put yourself around dream killers if you know you're a dreamer, right? People you giving you wisdom to help you get there is much different than people showing you reasons why you can't. You hear what I'm saying? See, you got to start selecting where to be vulnerable. You can't be vulnerable everywhere, right? We've learned over the last couple of years, man, that vulnerability is not a bad term. But you got to know who you can be vulnerable around. Not everyone deserves to know your struggles. Not everyone deserves to know your victories, right? You gotta have it. You have an inner world. You have an inner world. That thing is in you. We live in the world, right? But we're not of the world. There's a part of us, you have an inner world right here. And only certain people earn the right to have that trust of what's going on in your inner world, right? The biggest thing when it comes to detaching from people is that guilt bug drive in there. What I owe them, or what I should still be doing, or maybe they still need me. You got to detach yourself from that guilt. You shouldn't feel wrong for growing. You shouldn't feel wrong for improving. You shouldn't feel wrong for moving on with your life. Man, you got to detach yourself from that guilt. Saying no is part of life, right? Saying no, even walking away, is part of life. It's part of making yourself better. You got to learn to walk away. You know how you take your life back? One no at a time. Not everybody deserves your yes, bro. The people that deserve your yes, your wife, your children, right? The people that are right there in your camp, they deserve a yes. And sometimes you got to say no to them. But you got to know when to say no. You hear what I'm saying? So don't feel guilty about detaching from places that are selfish. Don't feel bad about that. Because you feeling bad has got you stuck where you are right now. It's not about being selfish, man. It's about self-preservation. It's about preserving yourself. Don't let guilt trap you, right? Don't let guilt trap you to keep you in unhealthy places that's doing nothing for your life. It's not fair to you. It's not fair to your future. It's not fair to all the people in the world you're going to touch by your gift, bro. Be fair to yourself. That's the only way to be. Be fair to you. Lastly, man, I think one of the greatest things we ignore, man, is putting ourselves around putting ourselves in safe cycles around safe people. Right? Safe people. What is a safe person? A person that's going to help me keep my boundaries. Right? A person that's going to encourage me to protect me as I go. A person that's going to protect my mind when I run into a self space when I'm trying to transition into better places in my life. People that contribute to your healing. People that contribute to your growth. We all got homeboys that's going to laugh with us. We all got homeboys that's going to laugh at us. And that's cool. But sometimes in life, bro, it ain't time to laugh. It ain't time to laugh. It's time to grow. It's time to step up. It's time to put old things behind you. Right? David in the scripture says, when I was a child, I spoke as a child. I understood as a child. But when I became a man, I put away childish ways. Right? Again, we all have people around us that love us, but some of that keeps us in childish ways. You got to know it's not about lack of love for them, but you got to know when it's time for you to go and grow. Right? You got to know when it's time to put yourself around people that's contributing to where you are, where you're going, and what you're trying to become. Hey, man, I love you. You got to make sure you do. Live this life we live with no fear, no shame, and no compromise. I'm proud of you, bro. I'm proud of you for listening to this podcast. I'm proud of you for hitting that like button, hitting that share button. But I'm mostly proud of you for being you, bro. You matter. You got to know you matter. Hey, man, let's finish this podcast like we finish everyone. If this is your first time, pay attention. Yesterday was history. Tomorrow's a mystery. All we got is right now. What you going to do with it? What you going to do about it? Hey, man, hit that like, hit that subscribe. Let's push this channel to men that are grown and need to grow more. This is the Dear Brother Podcast. Hey, man, hang in there. You're my guy. See you soon. Peace.